Hi guys, hi, how's it going? How y'all doing today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today I am doing the next to last video in my All About series here on my channel, or mini series here on my channel. I've already done blushes, I've done highlighters. Today we are doing bronzers, and you will see palettes very, very soon. All the best intentions to have it done by the end of August. That is obviously not happening because I had oral surgery, emergency like, last week, so I didn't get any filming done. I didn't get any editing done. I didn't get anything done. Bottom line. So today we will be doing the All About My Bronzers mini series next episode here on my channel, and I hope that you're here for it. And if you are, please stick around. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high-end, colorful beauty and self-care. Ultimately, this is my self-care. I enjoy coming out here, talking to you about the good, the bad, the ugly, all the things coming into my collection, leaving my collection. So you people are my happy people, my happy place, my happy home, my happy place. And I would love it if you'd stick around. Hopefully you like me enough at the end of the video you decide that you want to subscribe before you go. If you do that, please let me know. I'd love to welcome you personally, and I also just really like conversations down in the comment section. So that said, let's roll in to this video where we're talking all about my bronzers today. All right, so in the previous episodes with my blushes and my highlighters, there was a couple of extra prompts in this video, but I don't have nearly as many bronzers as I do everything else in my collection. In addition to that, I mean, kind of a bronzer is a bronzer is a bronzer is a bronzer. I mean, maybe I'm going to take some heat for saying that, but I can make almost every single bronzer that I have work. I don't think that I have had one that has come to me that is more disappointing than another, so to speak, or more surprising than another, so to speak. So I think I did put some things into those two categories, and I'll tell you why at the end of the day. But like, for my best memory and nostalgic category, they could overlap each other. So I tried to keep the same amount of prompts, but some of these may look very different or overlap, which is something that I didn't do in the other two videos and won't do in the palette video. There is one in here that is in here for two different categories. Like I said, I have far less bronzers than I have anything else. I don't think that I have done an all about my bronzers before on my channel. Unlike blush and highlight and palettes, I've done all three of those, but with bronzers, as I said, I have far less in my collection than I have of anything else. So I think I got to this point in previous years and was like, I don't need to do one on bronzers. But I thought I would do one on bronzers this year. So for newest, I do have this. It's still in the box. You can see it's still in the box. This is the Dibs Beauty Blush and Bronzer Stick. This technically lives in my face palette category because it's two different products. So I put anything that's two or more different products in one item together into my face palette category, which is just how I label everything in terms of my inventory. But this is the bronzer. It is in the shade Cocoa Kiss, or shade 5.5 from Dibs, and I do think that this could potentially not suit me, but I really wanted one of these sticks, and I really wanted this blush, and therefore purchased the blush and bronzer duo with the bronzer that potentially won't work for me. So this next year, or in years later, could be in a totally different category in my All About My Bronzers video, but this is my current newest bronzer. For oldest, I have this. So I didn't actually start wearing bronzer until 2021. I started wearing makeup in 2017. I started my channel in 2017, August of 2017. And happy 8-year anniversary to me. And I didn't start wearing bronzer until 2021, which is crazy sauce to me. So there are probably 5 different bronzers in my collection that I purchased in 2021, and this one was the first on my list, so I just pulled it as my oldest. This is the Juvia's Place Bronzed Duo in the shade Medium. And the biggest reason why I purchased this, I remember clearly, was for this yellow toned bronzer. I thought that that was just so unique and different, and I have a lot of like golden olive in my skin tone, and I thought it would blend with my skin tone quite nicely, and it actually does. I really love this bronzer. I don't 100% love this one down here. This one like makes me look a little bit too much like an Oompa Loompa, but I do love this one. So this one would be the oldest bronzer in my collection. For most expensive, and I think that this really has to do with the sign of the times, right? I just bought this in 2025, so I think that had I purchased it in 2023 or 2022, it might have had a different price point on it. And up until this point, the Chanel Les Beiges one was my most expensive. And I think if I went and purchased a new Chanel Les Beiges one, it would again be my most expensive, although I don't know how much the new ones are going to cost. This is my most expensive currently. This is the Dior Forever Nude Jumbo Bronzer, and I have the shade 20, and this guy is giant, but not quite as giant as some other ones that I have. This guy was $64. $64 for one bronzer, and I think that that is crazy sauce. But I will say, I love this bronzer. It is a beautiful bronzer, and I had to force myself to put it down after I purchased it. Yes, the imprint is still on it, but it is ravaged. That is a ravaged imprint. So love this bronzer. Happy to have it. It is my most expensive in my collection. And for least expensive, I have this one, which is the Revolution Beauty Cream Ultra Cream Bronzer. I accidentally picked mine up in deep, but I am okay with that. This is a really great bronzer. This bronzer was $8. This also shows up later. This one is my least expensive at $8, and I really enjoy having it in my collection, and I really like it. But it is, I believe, the only drugstore bronzer that I have in my entire collection. So I maybe need to expand just a little bit. I do love the Physicians Formula one. I just haven't picked it up in eons because I've had no need to purchase new bronzers, but I've still purchased new bronzers, so I don't know. I need to explore drugstore more next year, probably. The next prompt is everyday, and for everyday, I actually have this guy here. This is the Benefit Hoola Bronzer. I actually went and bought a jumbo because I have been through one of the regular size box Hoolas of this, and then I had made my way halfway through a second box Hoola, and my daughter started using it, so then I just gave that to her and went and purchased myself a jumbo one. Now, I just opened this year, so it doesn't look quite as used as maybe some of my other ones, and it definitely doesn't look it's used enough to be an everyday, but it is the only bronzer that I have ever repurchased in the entirety of my YouTube career, makeup wearing career, 2021 to 2025 bronzer wearing career. And it is one of only 2 that I've ever completely went through, and the other one was the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. So I really love that bronzer so dang much. For best memory, I do have this one, which is the Marc Jacobs Tantastic. Now, I have this one as best memory. It could have easily went into nostalgic too. I really just think that this one's in best memory because it is Marc Jacobs Beauty. I remember when, back in the day when I first started watching YouTube, Tati had all those Marc Jacobs palettes behind her. Marc Jacobs was the shiznit. It was the brand to have, honestly, the luxury brand to have. And I wanted it so bad, and I didn't pick it up. And then in 2021, this is also one from 2021, ended up picking this one up. And I think I got this actually on a steal from TJ Maxx. And I remember walking into that TJ Maxx thinking I wasn't going to find anything, and then finding all this Marc Jacobs stuff at TJ Maxx, and was so excited because I wanted this bronzer so bad. So I found this bronzer, I found the Omega highlighter, I found a couple of other things from Marc Jacobs because their business, that business went out of business. I love this brand so dang much, and I will be happy when they come back into the forefront. But I remember also when this was just so hyped all over the internet, all over YouTube, and still to this day there are people that have had it since it first came out, panning it because it is just the everlasting gremlins continue to come in and put more makeup into the pan kind of bronzer, and I'm super excited to have it. I have used the poop out of this bronzer, and you can still see the imprinted lines on the bronzer. It doesn't look like I've used it hardly at all, but it is one of the oldest and one of the most used in my collection, and has really great memories tied to it because I remember the excitement of finding it in TJ Maxx. Especially in the little tiny town that I lived in back then. We didn't get really cool things in our TJ Maxx. The next prompt is worth the hype, and for that I did pull the Rare Beauty bronzer stick in Bright Side. When I picked this up, I picked it up on a whim because I wanted to try it because I had heard so much about it, and this is truly such a beautiful like bronzer contour combo for me. It's got a really perfect match to my skin to use as both contour and bronzer, but in addition to that, it is effortless. This bronzer is so pretty on the skin, effortless to blend out, effortless to use. It's just such a beautiful bronzer, and I can't be happier to have it. And Rare Beauty overall, their products I have found are pretty worth the hype. There's been one item I think that I've ever purchased from Rare Beauty that I didn't love, and that was that blush that was actually a highlight. You know, you guys heard me talk about that, I think, in the blush video of this sort. So I think that almost everything from Rare Beauty is definitely worth the hype. And I'm not like a Selena Gomez stan. I just love that brand. They've got some really great products. Not worth the hype, I think, would be this one. Honestly, this is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Bronzer. And I feel really bad saying this because I do love this bronzer. And I also really quite like Giorgio Armani as a brand. I've had like their, I think it was called Power Satin like lip products. I have a Luminous Silk blush that I love. As a matter of fact, I think the Luminous Silk blush that I have was on my blush, All About My Blushes, as a worth the hype product. But this bronzer is just okay. It's just an okay bronzer. It's not fantastic. It's not got the best like range of shades. There's only 4 different colors for it. It is $59, so you're spending like upwards in the dollar amount for it because it is a luxury beauty product. I just think that it's okay, and it wouldn't be, even from a luxury standpoint, it wouldn't be the first bronzer that I recommended to anybody. And I think the biggest reason why for me is because there's only 4 shades. You're going to have a really hard time matching yourself to it because all of them lean also very warm. Not necessarily orange, but very warm. So if you want more of a neutral bronzer, you're not going to be able to find one. I think this is the most neutral of the shades, and it's very, very warm. I have worn it only a handful of times because I don't love the shade on my skin. This is I have the shade 90, which is pretty, but it is very, very warm. I just think it's okay. I guess that's the bottom line with this one. I just think it's okay. And for $59, I want maybe a bigger shade range. I want maybe more neutral shades in this, and I want it to stand out amongst the rest of my bronzers, and I just don't feel like this one does. Not that it's not a good bronzer, it's just a meh bronzer in my humble opinion. So for favorite bronzer from a favorite brand, I don't know necessarily that Pat McGrath is a favorite brand for me. I do think that a lot of her products are overhyped. I also think a lot of her products are overpriced, but I would repurchase this bronzer over and over and over again and have to physically force myself to use different bronzers. I have hidden it from myself in my drawers so that I forget about it and use other things because I love this bronzer. This is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Divine Bronze, and mine is in Nude Honey. And I just find that this is bronzer of perfection in my humble opinion. I've used it so much that you can't even see the imprint anymore except for right along the edges where my brush barely touches. I cannot get enough of this bronzer, and if I ever ran out of it, I would cry. So if she decided to go a different route, not do these as bronzers anymore, I would have to buy another one just as backup. I love this bronzer. It is my favorite, hands down, in my entire collection. For most used, however, it would have to be the Makeup by Mario Sculpt Stick, and this is largely because it's in my project pan because the component broke. So this guy is empty, but it was almost full when I started using it. And now, should I show you? I don't think I want to spoil it. Now, all that's left are remnants of it in this one little tiny container that you guys can see. Maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler for you. This is in my project pan, so I don't want to spoil it for you because it's very exciting, but this would be my most used. It will be only the third bronzer that I've ever finished in the entire 8 years that I've been doing this, and it will be the first cream bronzer that I ever finished, ever. So I'm super excited to have it almost complete in my project pan, and super excited to have gotten to use it. And honestly, I would repurchase this product if it wasn't for the stupid component. I really think that this component is horrible. Number one, it's got a brush on the bottom that nobody ever uses. You can take the brush off to clean it, but why have this brush on here? Nobody uses those brushes. And the component at some point very early on quit rolling up. So I think that they just need to redo the component. Maybe they have, since I purchased this way back when, but this would be my most used. And the biggest reason why is because it's the only bronzer. It's been a bronzer that's been in my, or a sculpt stick that's been in my project pan for the last 2 years trying to finish it up. So I use it almost every day. The next prompt is underrated, and I did combine this with Surprised Me because I didn't want this to be the listing for 3 of the prompts. I didn't. So underrated and Surprised Me would have to be the Revolution Beauty. So ultimately this owns 3 different prompts in my bronzer category. This is deep. It does look like it's really too dark for me, but I bought this for a drugstore makeup get ready with me that I did on my channel. And like I said, this is the only drugstore bronzer that I have in my collection. And the biggest reason why is because I don't love drugstore products. I really do feel like you get what you pay for, and for the most part, I don't think that drugstore is where it's at, except for, you know, very strategic brands. Revolution, in my humble opinion, has always been one of the worst. Like, you are going to get what you pay for tenfold with Revolution Beauty. You're going to pay nothing for prices. This is an $8 bronzer. You're going to get an $8 bronze out of it. But I really don't feel that way about this product. And there's been a couple of Revolution products recently, well, within the last year, that I have used that I'm actually really pleased with. And Revolution used to be that brand that every time I purchased from them, I was pissed at myself for purchasing from them because it never changed. I was always disappointed with the product. But this bronzer really did surprise me. I remember it getting kind of a little bit of hype for Revolution on the YouTube space back when it first launched. I have used it quite a bit. It reminds me a lot of the NARS Cream Bronzer because you literally cannot put on too much and it just blends in seamlessly. This is deep. Like I said, this is way too dark for my skin tone, but I have never put this on and had it not look good on my skin. So it's like magic, and that pleases me. So for that, I have that one listed as underrated because I don't think it gets enough hype, and as surprised me because it truly did. I thought I was going to be mad at myself for purchasing that. For overrated, I did put the Give Beauty Pick It Up Cream Contour and Bronzing Powder Duo. I have the one in Toastin', and maybe it's just the shade, but I remember the Give Beauty products getting so much hype, and I really do love their blush duos, but this bronzer duo is just not where it's at. Again, it's just a meh product. I think that the cream is not great. It needs a little bit more balminess to it in order to blend appropriately, in my humble opinion. I think it also dries out too quickly because of the component that it's in. And I think that the bronzer that goes with it doesn't quite suit it. You guys can see, I think that this is kind of a little bit more warm tone than this. This is kind of very neutral, and this is too warm for this neutral like cream to go underneath it or on top of it, however you want to put your products. And I have to be honest with you, it doesn't 100% surprise me that Give Beauty isn't sustainable in the Sephora space, because I think for my highlighters, I also had a Give Beauty highlighter in there. So it just wasn't a wow me kind of brand for me. It might have been for a lot of other people, and I do know that it was for a lot of other people because it was so hyped up on the space, and I just don't feel that way about it. For nostalgic, I do have the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and I think I put this into nostalgic because it was either this or it was the Marc Jacobs one. But I remember thinking about getting this about the same time that the blush book came out. And the blush book, I think, if I remember correctly, sold out so fast. And I got one for a giveaway that I did. Yeah, I believe I got one for a giveaway that I did. And didn't buy one for myself, and then kicked myself in the butt for not buying one for myself. So then I picked up just the singular Chocolate Soleil bronzer, and I also had Snow Bunny at one point in time. I love this bronzer. I think that this could rank right up there with the Hoola bronzer as a everyday bronzer for me. This works really well as just a contour. It works really well as a contour slash bronzer combo. And as far as nostalgia goes, this is old school Too Faced packaging. So it just reminds me of YouTube back in the day, I guess. So from a nostalgia standpoint, that's, I guess, why I pulled this in here. Old school packaging, old school bronzer. It still really packs a punch and carries a lot of weight in today's makeup space, but I'm actually super happy that I have it in the old packaging. And to be honest, it kind of grosses me out that I have it in the old packaging, but I think I picked this up. I must have, right? Picked this up at TJ Maxx at some point in time. I don't know. I'm just really, it just feels nostalgic to me to have like a piece of makeup history is what it feels like. The next prompt is disappointing, and for disappointing, I have this. This was a bronzer that I purchased because everybody was like, this could have went into Not Worth the Hype as well. This is the One Size Made for Shade Bronzing Trio, and this is the medium trio. This could have went into Not Worth the Hype as well. I just feel like this was a difficult bronzer to use. It didn't blend well. I don't feel like it blended well anyways. This bronzer, I thought I was going to get a lot of use out of because it looks kind of like yellow in tone, but it is like mustard yellow on my skin, which is not a great combination in my humble opinion. This one is really, 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 really like red on my skin almost. Too warm toned. This one is decent. It's a decent bronzer, and it is the most used in this whole trio. But I just feel like it got so much hype. People were raving about this trio, and I absolutely do not love it. And I only am using one of the three regularly because these two just do not work for me. And this is medium. The next one down is light, right? And none of those shades are going to look great on my skin tone. I just think medium doesn't have to be yellow, red, and neutral. That's not what it has to be. I wish it was, I don't know, different tones of neutral. I don't know what I wish it was. It isn't a bronzer that I think is awesome. And I think I keep it in my collection because I spent far too much money on it for this one little tiny pan of bronzer that I have in here. The last one, because most colorful, I mean, bronzers are brown. Most colorful is not a prompt that we can use for all about my bronzers. So the last one I have in here is Keep It Even Though It Doesn't Work For Me. And that would have to be my Chanel Le Beiges. And I like this bronzer. I do. But every single time, you can see how orange. I hate saying orange because that produces a really awful connotation behind it. Like, however, this is very orange. It also smells like roses. I cannot with the smell of Chanel products. It is what it is. But I think that I could get past that if it wasn't for the fact that this truly makes me look like an Oompa Loompa. And when I bought this, there was two shades. There was this shade and there was a deeper shade. And neither one of them were going to work for my skin tone very well, but this one looked like it would work best. And it's just too orange. I mean, it's just too orange. So I keep it though, because I paid so much dang money for it. It's also like tied to some memories for me too with work. Like it was my first trip somewhere else to help train somebody, and I was so excited to be a part of training a peer of mine at work. So I mean, there are some other reasons why I hold on to it other than it cost me a lot of money and it's Chanel. But I do still hold on to it, even though it's not one that I use, because it just doesn't work for my skin. It just doesn't work for my skin tone. So that said, that is it. That is all the prompts. So we have blown through all the prompts all about my bronzers. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, let me know. Let me know what you thought about the prompts and the choices that I have, and let me know what your thoughts are on your collection. I would love to hear from you down in the comment section. That being said, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thanks for sticking around and watching my channel and keeping my channel alive while I was dead to the world for that emergency dental visit that I had. I'm so sorry that I have missed several uploads in August due to different life circumstances, and I do have a get ready with me coming very soon where you guys will learn some exciting news. Exciting news for me anyway. So, and I hope that you guys think it's exciting as well. Stay tuned also, because upcoming is my giveaway for the month of September. I do this every single year, and those of you who have been around forever, you know that. So it'll be my, I think, like 7th annual giveaway. So I hope that you're here for that as well. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you and yours are well. I hope that you're all safe and healthy and getting along as best that you can. I hope that you are all loving each other, being kind humans, and living your best life. And until next time, bye friends.